It might have been Italy, Nicaragua, Yugoslavia, Turkey, or Peru, any disaster-prone country on Earth. But it was in Guatemala where the great earthquake struck, just after 3 o'clock in the morning on February 4th, 1976. 23,000 died, 76,000 were injured.
Después de ocurrido el siniestro.
As President Laugerod of Guatemala addressed his beleaguered nation, neighboring countries moved in to help. El Salvador, Colombia, Mexico, Nicaragua, and Honduras among them. At the same time, a request for disaster relief was transmitted to the United States through the American ambassador and rapidly approved for special funding. The Agency for International Development had already shifted its Center for Foreign Disaster Coordination into a round-the-clock schedule to implement emergency requests from authorities in Guatemala.
How many engineers does that consist of?
The telephone is the center's most important tool, connecting any disaster area in the world with Washington, and through Washington with any other point on the globe.
This is a foreign disaster center working on the Guatemala earthquake.
Okay, because we're trying to pull together all the food we can,
Mr. Boone?
and we have to depend on you people to handle the distribution.
J-E-O-R-J-E?
We've been taking a longer look at our assessment needs out there, and it seems to us that we're going to need some high-altitude coverage. We think that from this high-altitude imagery that we'll be able to somehow figure out how much rubble are in those towns so that we can calculate the amount of equipment we need to get in. We need more information on the damage to bridges, the roads. We're really concerned about where those roads are going and how they've been blocked off. And then landsliding causes those streams to back up. And if we can find out before the rainy season starts where those natural dams are, Guatemalans can get in there and they can start to break down the natural dams so that they won't end up and burst.
I need to know right away the number of ships and what they're carrying in the area of Guatemala. And I'll give you authorization right away to divert those shipments to the Guatemala port. I need veg oil, corn, beans. How about your blended foods? You have any of those? We have authorization.
A lot of the smaller villages have lost their water systems. Can you get off, within the next few hours, 100 3,000-gallon portable water tanks?
They are perfectly willing to put some telephone communications equipment down in Guatemala. Do you think you have a C5A that could be made available for this?
Señor Rodríguez, sobre la coordinación de nuestros esfuerzos con ustedes en el Pan American Union para mandar los hospitales a Guatemala para el desastre.
We need a hospital for Guatemala. We should prepare for trauma, orthopedic surgery, some preventive medicine. We will need some anesthesia, antibiotics, cast materials. I would suggest that it be prepared for up to 300 beds. If we need more beds, can we add on to this? We can. Very good.
Following emergency relief, rehabilitation and reconstruction are the second and third phases in any comprehensive program of disaster aid. But experts in this field have long felt that in disaster preparedness lies the best road to survival. Each year, officials from more than 20 disaster-prone countries assemble in the United States for 5 weeks of seminars, emergency exercises, conferences, and exchanges of techniques and information.
Later this evening, those who are able to come, we get this scenario and sit and discuss it with them.
Much is derived from the experience of participants who have lived through the numbing reality of man-made or natural disasters Having seen homes tumble to the ground, they know the value of safer buildings made of local materials.
When we speak about earthquakes in Turkey, I have got around 40% of my population illiterate in my country. So instead of preparing luxurious publication, we prefer to draw a little bit childish drawing, like you see one of here, and start to educate them, especially in backwards area. The mud brick is an interesting and very strong mixture of clay, mud, and straw. So you have drawings, how to start, how to mix, how to mold them, and then how to start your constructions. And if you do not do like this educational chart says, this is the result. Complete destruction.
From above the earth, advanced technology surveys the future. Images from a Landsat satellite recently revealed that a fault line in the United States, believed to be only 5 kilometers long, actually extended for 97 kilometers. Aerial photos were then used to unveil its local details. Scientists believe that eventually the monitoring of many such fault lines around the world will provide advance indications of earthquake danger. This shiny new satellite called Legios uses high-quality optical prisms to reflect laser beams back to stations on Earth. The precise time required for the beams to return is converted into distance. If the distance changes even 1 centimeter, it means the Earth crust itself has moved. Ultimately, this new system may become an important factor in earthquake prediction. You are now watching speeded-up pictures of a hurricane at sea, taken by a weather satellite 36,000 kilometers above the South Atlantic Ocean. Also known as typhoons and cyclones, these tropical storms are monitored for cloud temperature, wind speed and direction, and conditions in the sea and air around them. The data from all American weather satellites is available to any country desiring to receive it. Close-up photography, radar scannings, and other measurements from weather aircraft add to the satellite data. Then at the National Hurricane Center in Florida, the major puzzle becomes, will the hurricane blow out to sea, strike an island country, or hit the mainland? A number of paths are possible. 15 countries now receive this storm tracking information, which intensifies hour by hour until analysis of the computer readout indicates early warning and civil defense precautions.
This is your civil defense coordinator. All residents should take the normal precautions and listen to their local radio and television stations.
Food and fresh water are stored, battery-powered lights obtained in case of electrical failure, and hospital patients removed to safer regions. In a good disaster preparedness plan, every available resource is mobilized in the interest of survival. Hurricane tides may run 15 feet above normal, with peak winds of 240 kilometers per hour. In the Far East, tsunami tidal waves have a similar devastating effect. Now, born of the turbulence of the hurricane, a tornado adds to the destruction. Severe storms cannot be prevented, but with tracking data, early warnings, and strong civil defense programs, thousands of lives can be saved, and the economic impact greatly reduced. All over the world, the toll of lives and resources lost in floods each year is staggering. Should countries simply accept these catastrophes as inevitable, or try to develop ways of coping with them? The best answer is paved with difficult tasks. Existing government services must be organized into coordinated emergency units at local and regional levels. In the more developed countries, emergency programs reflect more resources, but man-powered or motorized, A carefully planned response to disastrous floods can reduce the effects in any country on Earth. Volunteers and professionals must be trained to work together to rescue people, the ultimate resource, and salvage materials that will lessen relief requirements. Technical assistance in the handling of flood emergencies is available to any country requesting this help. Flood control is not a new concept, but the satellite monitoring of remote rivers and their surrounding land, as well as tidal changes in snow and rainfall, is now being considered by several South American countries. In the United States, data from a widespread network of automated stations like this is transmitted to a Landsat satellite 6 times a day. Relayed on to Goddard Space Flight Center, operated by NASA, it is processed into reports that will help local officials make more accurate decisions for protection of the public. As far as we know, the Earth is the most geologically active planet in the solar system. With volcanic eruptions destroying lives and property in many parts of the world every year. Here, thrust to the surface by pressure from below, molten rock at 1,000 degrees centigrade, with 20,000 times the density of water, flows from the cone of Kilauea volcano in the Hawaiian Islands. Exterminating everything in its path, a lava wall 15 feet high then rumbles toward the sea, where it will die and become granules of black sand on an island beach. Most of the Pacific Islands, many countries in Central and South America, the Far East and Europe, have volcanoes that still erupt. Can there be early warning of these eruptions? Devices called tilt meters, now installed near volcanoes in 5 countries, reach down into the earth to seek out the small tremors and ground tilting that precede volcanic activity. Their findings are then transmitted automatically to Landsat, which relays them on to ground stations for analysis, opening a new era for monitoring potentially dangerous volcanoes in many countries of the world. Forest and brush fires are a disaster threat on nearly 1/3 of the Earth's land surface. Once they start, the only route is containment. Ahead of the fire, vegetation is plowed under, and dry brush and grass are deliberately burned out to remove fuel from the path of the flames. Fire-retarding chemicals dropped from aircraft will also prevent spreading. The coloring helps the pilots avoid a duplication of effort. Trained men and women from a dozen regions are often flown in to become part of citizen armies organized to fight the major fires that recur every year in the western United States. When the fire's perimeters are in doubt because of thick smoke or dark of night, an airborne electronic system can reach through the obstruction and take pictures, which are dropped to a command post where the next phase of action is being planned. The high-technology approach seen here was developed slowly and carefully over the years by trained and dedicated men. Their advice and counsel has been requested and utilized in nearly a dozen nations scattered around the globe. For days on end, the fire is attacked like a living organism. Water is pumped from trucks, drained from lakes, and dropped from the air, until acres of raging flames finally reduce to blackened embers. 1/4 of a century must then pass before this valuable resource is restored. One new tool for forest fire prediction is an automated system relieving the human presence in remote forest regions of California. Powered by solar energy and a reserve battery, each automated station makes continuous measurements of humidity, temperature, speed and direction of the wind, and solar radiation. Every 3 hours, the data is transmitted to a weather satellite stationed high over the Pacific Ocean. From there, it goes to centers near the Atlantic coast, where the signals are converted to numerical reports, retransmitted to California within 90 minutes. The reports are now being used to help chart the probable course of a fire in progress and predict the danger of new fires. This ongoing multinational effort to improve our capacity for disaster prediction, assessment, and relief is a prime example of the blending of space-age advances with the deepening awareness that disasters are one of man's universal experiences. They reach us all and demand international cooperation.
Y también estamos situados en el área de problemas de desastres naturales.
Disaster technology is a still developing field. Its current and future applications can weigh heavily in the reduction of economic losses and the protection of human life.
Every time the cyclone moves, it's going back, I tell them there's no panic about it and people are happy.
Get them off in a C-130 to our embassy.
No country can afford disasters. All can take part in the struggle to survive them.
Right, fine, and I'll be getting back to you. Hello, CARE, New York.
Now, the thing for them to do is to get these supplies in the hands of these voluntary agencies. They will screen them and make sure that they're the things that the people need, and then they'll go from there, and we do provide the transportation for them once they've been screened.
Yes, you'd like some information on our government assistance.